Hey, good morning. I'm Tom Remington, and welcome to a brand new episode of Open Air with Tom Remington. Yesterday in the Jackson Hole News and Guide was an article in there, and actually this morning at the Black Bear blog, I did a little short thing in there about one aspect of this article. Excuse me. And so, I was rereading it and that sort of stuff. This article and the information it contains in it actually almost epitomizes the entire problem with this whole wolf introduction thing and getting beyond delisting and all of that sort of stuff. But the question that I have is, with what we as American citizens see these days, with what is happening with science, there's really no reason why we should believe anything these people tell us. There's just so much dishonesty surrounding the whole thing. And, the complaints that we have all read about and heard about from, let's say for lack of a better term, the hunters, the outdoor sportsmen in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming area, is that, how can we address this thing when the goalposts are always moving around and we never have any target goal to reach because it's always moving? And, and then on the wolf side, they say, well, that's all necessary and whatever. But I want to read just a quote that was taken by the author of this thing, Corey Hatch of the Jackson Hole News and Guide, of what Ed Bangs said about this. Now pay attention. It says, people will argue that the recovery goal should be higher, and that's what we've been talking about. Originally, it was 30 breeding pairs or 300 wolves total was the goal that everybody was told. That's the minimum goal we need to reach recovery. And so that's what everybody based their decisions, their thinking on. Okay, well, if there's going to be a minimum of 300 wolves, in the 3 states, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so people will argue that the recovery goal should be higher, Banks said. That's a moral judgment. A population, this is his words, a population of 45 breeding pairs and 450 wolves will never be threatened. The recovery goal is a population that will never be threatened again. Some people confuse that with, I want more wolves around, or I want fewer wolves around. So, Bangs is telling us that what they said, and he goes back here and he says, clearly the 1987 goal of 30 breeding pairs or 300 wolves is not defensible. I recognized that the moment I got here. So in other words, he argued his case along with all the other wolfies that 30 pairs, 300 wolves, that's it. But he says, but when we got there, we realized, that wasn't realistic at all. Well, they didn't tell the people that. And that's what the people based their comments with and everything about it. So now he's saying 45 breeding pairs and 450 wolves will never be threatened. Okay? Isn't that the same information that was put out to the people back in 1987? 30 wolves and 300, or 30 pair and 300 wolves. That's going to do it. It's right here. It's in our science. Okay? But he says immediately when he got there, he wrote, oh, that wasn't true, so let's move the goalposts over here. Okay? So, clearly, we were lied to back in 1987. We were lied to. If honesty was injected into the discussion, they would have said, this is our estimate. And as time goes on, we may find out that we need 3 times that number of wolves for recovery. We just don't know right now. Okay, but no. The ignorance continues, ladies and gentlemen. 45 breeding pair and 450 wolves will never be threatened. Bull crap. That's a lie. And that's the same lie we were fed to before. Why should we believe any of these people? Why? We shouldn't. This guy's trying to cover his butt. That's all there is to it. I just... it's infuriating. And the people were screwed over back in 1987 when this whole thing began. You know, they had a pet project is all that it was. It was a pet project that they wanted to do, and the people got screwed. And they're being screwed now. And now they're trying to cover their butts. You know, and they're trying to say that, well, you have to realize that the best available science. Well, bull on the best available science. When you cherry pick your science, you can make anything up that you want. And when you're in control of everything, when the one who has the say is the federal government, so the federal government makes up their own rules as they go along. Well, we decided the minute we got on the ground and wolf introduction that, 300 wolves ain't going to cut it. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it more. And Bang sits here and says that some people confuse that with that he wants more wolves around. Well, duh, he does. It's got nothing to do with science. And if it did, what's wrong with injecting some honesty into the discussion like right now? If he were honest, he would say, right now our science says that perhaps 45 breeding pairs and 450 wolves might do the trick. However, as things continue on and more studies and research are done, we may discover that the only way that we can sustain wolf populations is to have them from coast to coast and corner to corner, mounting to 200,000 wolves. At least there would be some honesty in the discussion instead of the lies and the deceit and the hoodwinking that's been bestowed upon the American people. It's time we put an end to this bull, because that's what it is. To not have learned any lessons tells me that this is just dishonest science and there isn't any involved. It was lies to begin with. It was what they thought would be socially acceptable in the Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming area, and those are the numbers that they went with, knowing full well they were going to just do whatever they wanted to do anyway. And that's what they're still doing. And until we put our foot down, which is what's happening, there's enough people now that are mad, the people that are losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihood over this whole thing, and now they're beginning to fight back. And guys like Ed Banks and all the environmentalists, they don't like it. And they've never had to deal with it. Well, they better get used to it because the people are mad and they're pushing back. And it's time we put an end to this. And I got to run, and that's my rant for today. I hope you join me next time on Open Air with Tom Remington.